Hi guys, it's me again, Klein. Today I decided to make another videos for you because I receive a lot of questions, a lot of messages from Facebook and YouTube about my coronavirus experience. The questions like, paano daw ba ako nahawa? What are the signs and symptoms that I felt at first? What is the onset period? Meaning, paano daw ba nagsimula? What was the feeling? How was the test? Something like that. Masakit daw ba? How did I cope up? What are the treatments and medication that they gave me? And so many more questions that I wanted to answer them one by one. I will try my best, but all of these things are based on my experience and I'm not an expert, and I want you to know that every patient is different from another. So this is my personal experience. So let's start. In my conclusion, I got the virus because of asymptomatic patients. I'm working in a public hospital in Paris during that time. When I got the first signs and symptoms, which is headache and fever, nobody in the service is contaminated. Nobody's positive, not at all. But since I'm in a service where it's a palliative care, the service is soins longue durée here in France. So it's more on their terminal stage, and of course, for all the nurses, you understand that people cannot even express themselves properly. Most of them are on their terminal stage of their life, so even just being thirsty, they don't know. So how can they say that they have fever? They don't know at all. I just found out after the third day since I got the first signs and symptoms. One of my colleagues told me that the 3 patients that I took care of are positive, and they were the first patients in my service that got positive and confirmed. So it was too late for me because I was already sick. Yeah, that's how I think I got the virus. As I said a while ago, the first sign for me was a terrible headache, very intense. It's like something, para talagang tinutusok yung ulo mo, parang nadudurog talaga yung ulo mo, and it doesn't go. Since the first day until the last day, my headache was persistent. I didn't think na it's the first sign of the virus because, first of all, it's cold here in France, and once you don't have scarf or something like that, you don't have a hat, you will just feel cold and you can have headache just like that. Second was fever. I got 1-day fever before and it just faded. So the fever was gone, but there's this sore throat that appeared, and it's just a mild sore throat. Parang it's the same. It's cold here in France, so you will think na probably because I didn't put a scarf, something like that. That's why I have a sore throat, and it started to get irritated, something like that. But it's very mild. I didn't cough right away. The cough arrived when I couldn't breathe anymore, and the cough was just very light. So yeah, that's the first signs and symptoms that I felt. Let's talk about the incubation period. For me, all in all, I'm counting 14 days. But before 14 days, there are like 5 days before that 14 days that I didn't realize that I'm starting to have some small signs and symptoms, which is headache, fever, and sore throat. But the fever was just 1 day, and after it was gone. So for me, I didn't consider that as part of the incubation period, but probably, who knows, I'm not an expert, probably it started there. But most of it's 14 days, and that 14 days I started to have high fever, 38 to 40 degrees non-stop, with paracetamol every 6 hours, 1000 milligram but still it's still coming back. And it's not just a simple fever, it's really constant.
Like Q6, it's going, it's here again.
I had to take paracetamol regularly every 6 hours, or else I couldn't go up. I couldn't at least sit down or move to the couch from the room. That's how hard it was. And of course, I had fatigue, muscle weakness. I lost my appetite. I lost my sense of smell and sense of taste. The difficulty of breathing happened on my 9th and 10th day. That's when the time that I called the emergency, and that's the time that I told my husband that I couldn't take it anymore and I really need an assistance. So we called the emergency. Next question is, how long before I got consulted? Since I was working in the hospital, the onset day of the coronavirus, I told the nurse, we told the supervisor as well, that I don't feel well. I was shivering. I have 38 degrees Celsius of fever. I have a slight cough. So right away, they pulled me out of the service and they told me to go rest. Try to call us again tomorrow for some directives, because that time it was the first day of lockdown in France. So wala pa talaga kaming directives on how to deal with it, since we don't have any patient yet in the service, and it was just starting. The numbers got increased after I got sick already. So it's something new. It's something that we don't know how to handle, and even the government, they were so overwhelmed about the numbers, how it was increasing. So even them, they were rushing on what to give as a directives, because it's something new and they're just basing on the other countries that got the virus first. I waited for the directive, so I went back home. That was Monday. The next day, they gave me some numbers to call, and in the end, I ended up calling the emergency service here in France, because they told me to call them and to tell all the signs and symptoms that I have. And then this emergency number told me to go to the nearest hospital that are doing the tests, because not all the hospitals have testing kits, which is unfortunate that time. So we went, and after that, sabi nila, I don't need to get tested. There's no directive that time. All the medical workers should be tested right away. Nothing yet, because it's just the starting, and the testing kits were so few. I think they are serving it for the elderly people, the people that have underlying diseases, and I was the third, which is young. I look fit probably, so I don't need any testing. And since I didn't have any difficulty of breathing that much, so they told me to just go back home and have a 14 days quarantine and monitor myself. So yeah, I didn't get tested right away. I guess pahaba ng pahaba tong video ko, because I have a lot of things to say, but I will make a part 2. I guess I will end my video here. I hope I informed you well. Every patient is different. It's a case-to-case basis. Remember that, okay? And I will see you on the second video. Thank you. God bless.